You're having good conversation, and that's lovely, but you're here for another purpose. The purpose is the launch of a book. I'm here in the first instance because the chairman of the Community Association cannot be here tonight and asked me to deputise for him. It is a pleasure, not just to welcome you all to the community centre, but to welcome you on this occasion. Ballycarry has a long history of which we are inordinately proud. Ballycarry has a tradition of literature and writing and knowledge and history, of which David Hume is exceedingly knowledgeable. Therefore, distilled into that book, you will find many, many insights into all of this. That is ahead of you. Unless you've been very busy in the last half hour, you've still to read the book. Look forward to it. There will be much there that you will enjoy. Now, you didn't come to hear me, but before you get to hear David Hume, you will get to hear Davy Moore. David's a friend to us here, well known to us in many ways. I've had the pleasure of knowing him for many years, and what's worse than that, I'm related to him. So now I leave you in David's hands.
Good evening, everybody. Is this working? Can you all hear me anyway? Well, it's the birth of a book tonight, and the birth of a book is a very, very special time. When your very first book arrives in the house from the publisher, they usually send you a book to proofread yourself to make sure you're happy with it before they go ahead and run the run of books. And it's kind of like having a baby. It's like a newborn Wayne coming into the house. And you get very proud of it, and you get very protective of it. And when people start to read your book, then you're very aware that they're critiquing it sometimes, and they're meeting you and they're asking about characters, and they're maybe having a book club and they're reading it and they want to ask you questions on it. And you get very defensive, and you keep trying to stick up for it. It's a wee bit like when they go to primary one and they can't hang their coat on the peg, and the teacher says you have to teach them to do that. We're busy and we'll get it sorted. Well, that's the way it sort of is with a book. And this is a very special book. David Hume tells me this wee book is 10 years in the making. I have had the privilege of being able to read it last week because I got a sneak copy from him. I badgered him until he eventually caved in. I work with David down at the Gobbins, for those who don't know. I see a lot of Gobbins tour guides in tonight, so give us a wave there, Gobbins, to look at that. Look how many's in tonight. So if you just check their shoes later on, and the helmets will be outside the door, and the bus will be here in a wee minute, and we'll get them sorted in between us. I work with David down at the Gobbins, and he always has a bit of a laugh and a smile, and he's a great lad. He talks me into coming to these things because I'm very shy and I wouldn't normally come out. David, for those who don't know, he was educated at Larne High School, and he went to the University of Ulster, where in 1985 he got a BA with honours degree in combined humanities. Isn't that right? Yeah. See? 1994 he was awarded a PhD. So he's not just your average bear. He was a journalist for 15 years or so with the East Antrim Times group of papers. For 12 years, he was a director of services for the Orange Order. And I think that involved quite a lot of research, from what I can hear. Now, I have kept him right with a lot of the Orange stuff. He didn't know that King William's horse was called Trigger, for example. And he didn't know King William's best friend was called Tonto. But I read a lot, and I was well up with that. He's very active in the Ulster Scots Advisory Group, and what the Reverend Nelson said there, we have a tradition here, we have an Ulster Scots connection here that goes way back. We need people in our corner to fight that for us, so we don't lose it, and David Hume is one of those people. He's also been involved with the Flags and Emblems Commission and all sorts of things that he does behind the scenes that I'm sure a lot of people maybe aren't aware of. But I have rattled on enough about this. I'm going to introduce him now with a wee poem, what I wrote the other morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. And it's in a wee bit of the Ulster Scots, but you'll just have to bear with me on that. Some men like the writing, and some men like the beer, and some men like the fighting, and some men like the fear. And some men like the painting, and some men like a pipe, and some men like the women, and some men like the gripe. But few are found in graveyards, studying the stains, or reading in the library about Vikings, Norse or Danes. But then this man isn't he some men? He kens far more than maist. He talks about the old days because his time he doesn't waste. He never toves nor ganches. His books tell old and new. His research is beyond compare, and his heart is always true. For this man is a good man. He's seldom full of gloom. He's a son o' Ballycarry, I give you, David Hume.
I know. It's not going to be easy, sure it's not. Thank you very much to Davy Moore, and I've known Davy for some time now, and Davy and I are actually on a world tour at the minute, so we were at Carnegie Hall. They call it the Carnegie Building, actually, down in Larne, but we were there. So this is part of our world tour. But no, Davy's been on stage, he's brilliant, he's a fantastic actor, he really is, and I'm always delighted to be working with him in some shape or form, because we always have good crack and good laugh. So I was really pleased, asked him to come tonight just to introduce things. I didn't know he was going to write a special poem about it, and when I heard he'd wrote it at 4 in the morning, I was a wee bit worried, I'll be quite honest, but but it's very good. So thank you, Davy, very much. I had a sort of a wee speech written out, which will probably go by the by more or less now, as we get into things, but delighted to see you all here, see so many people here, and to hopefully have you enjoy the book when you've got it and get the chance to read it and so forth. Wee story about the book. When it was published and it was due to arrive, the lorry driver brought it on a pallet. There's 500 of the books, so he was bringing this pallet. So he got lost in darkest Macramorn. He took a wrong turn on Ballypollard Road, and he ended up on Quinton's Avenue with a lorry which he realised was much too big for Quinton's Avenue. And he'd phoned me on the way from Island McGee to say he was on his way and he would be there in about 10 minutes. And the conversation went along the lines of, do you know where you're going okay? Oh yes, I know where I'm going. So that was the last I heard for about 20-25 minutes. And then the phone rang again. And he hadn't really known where he was going. He had departed from the route, which was very unexpected to me, as it was to him, effectively. So when he phoned the next time, he had a slightly higher octave in his voice in the conversation. And it was an emotional time for both of us, let's say, because he wanted to know how he was going to get out of Quinton's Avenue. I don't know, I'm sure some of you know where Quinton's Avenue is. It wouldn't be the best place to be in with a lorry. And he wanted to get back to the main road, so he stopped and asked somebody on Quinton's Avenue, and they said to him, what did you bring a big lorry like that up here for? So that didn't improve things either. He told me all this on the phone. And he finally got himself back onto Ballypollard Road via a little laneway, which has lots of fir trees that were slapping the top liners that came along and all the rest of it. And then he was surprised that he was coming to a private house and it wasn't a business the delivery was to. So he inquired about that, and I explained that I'd written a book, and this was the book he was delivering in the back of the lorry. So he asked me what the book was about. I told him it was about Ballycarry, and as he was bringing the pallet down, he expressed a mild surprise that there would be enough history in Ballycarry to write a book about, which helped me to understand better how he'd come to get lost on Quinton's Avenue with a 40-foot lorry, I have to say. But the book arrived safely on the pallet anyway, and as Davy says, it's always very worrying. Davy's published work as well too, and until you can see the final product, you're very worried. And Angeline Keen's here as well, she's done the same too, so everybody would have the same sense of, are there mistakes in the book? What does it look like? Is the font the right size? All of that. So I'm pleased how it has turned out, and it looks well, I think. And I'm pleased to see so many people here at the launch. My friend Tim McGarry from the radio posted last night his good wishes for the launch. He couldn't be here tonight, but he told me to be short. But he did remark he did remark that Ballycarry was the centre of the universe. And I once told a load of visitors on the bus on a wee tour around Island McGee, we were coming up, and I pointed out Ballycarry, and I said to them that there's been a lot of research carried out by NASA, and Ballycarry is still the centre of the universe. And most of them laughed and smiled, but two girls started to crane out the window and point towards where it was, and then I realised that they'd taken it very seriously. So I had to admit that it was really only the centre of my universe at the end of it all. But it's a view that others share. It's a community and a place that other people value. Copies of the book are winging